Hey guys, welcome to the video for Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree. My name is Ventus and in this Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree build video guide, I'm going to show you 3 overpowered Colossal Greatsword builds that are perfect for stance-breaking bosses. These builds are a mix of items and equipment from the base game and the DLC expansion, Shadow of the Erdtree. Now really quickly, before I get into the builds, do me a favor if you're new here and sub to the channel if you like Elden Ring videos, and also give the video a like if you find it helpful. Alright, the first build uses the Grafted Blade Greatsword. In this build, I'm using one at plus 10. The Grafted Blade Greatsword comes with one extremely useful unique ability called Oath of Vengeance that increases all stats and raises your poise, giving your character super armor for about 5 seconds, allowing you to attack a boss without being interrupted. This especially comes in handy when you just want to hit a boss without worrying too much about dodging and memorizing attack patterns. The armor I'm wearing for this build is the DLC Rakshasa armor set that provides extra damage dealt with the drawback of extra damage received. For the talisman I'm using, first is the DLC item called the Blade of Mercy, an item that increases attack power after a critical hit. Next is another DLC talisman, the Two-Handed Sword talisman that enhances attack with two-handed weapons. After that is the base game Claw talisman that enhances jump attacks. Jump attacks are one of the very best ways to break a boss's stance, dealing the most damage to their poise meter. And finally is the Dragon Crest Shield, a base game talisman that increases physical defense. I mainly use this to offset the penalty given by the Rakshasa armor set. For the Mixed Wondrous Physic, I'm using the Opaline Hard tier to boost all damage negation and the Stone Barbed Crack tier to make stance breaking easier, providing more damage given to a boss's poise meter. For spells, only 3 is really needed with most builds, and they are Blessing of the Erdtree for slight healing over time, Golden Vow for enhanced attack and defense, and Flame Grant Me Strength for increased physical and fire affinity attack power. Stats for this build are my Vigor is going to be at 60, Mind at 40, Endurance at 60, Strength at 80, Dexterity 55, Intelligence 9, Faith at 38, and Arcane at 9. The way I use this build in boss battle combat is simple. Use all 3 buff spells before a boss fight as well as the Mixed Physic, and then use the Grafted Greatsword's ability to enhance all stats. From there, just run straight up to a boss, avoiding any attacks by roll dodging, and then just hit as many jump heavy attacks as I can. Normal heavy attacks and charged heavy attacks also deal good damage, as well as damage to a boss's poise meter. Just think of the boss's poise meter as another health bar that just takes damage along with normal attacks, but this bar regenerates slowly, so you have to keep delivering attacks that deal higher poise damage, such as jump heavy attacks and charged heavy attacks. Colossal Greatswords are the weapons that deal the most damage to a boss's poise meter, so if you do enough jumping heavy attacks, you are bound to break any boss's stance and get a critical attack on them at least once in any fight. Once you do land a critical attack, the Blade of Mercy will activate, making you glow red, and you will deal increased physical damage for a short time. The second build I want to show you uses the Ruin's Greatsword plus 10. This is a weapon that fuses physical power with magical enhancement. The Ruin's Greatsword comes with a unique skill called Wave of Destruction that is a powerful gravity spell enhanced by having a higher intelligence score along with strength. Wave of Destruction is a skill that can be used at ranged and will bounce normal non-boss enemies off the ground. For this build, again, I'm using the full Rakshasa armor set, but this time for a talisman, I have equipped the Godfrey Icon, a base game talisman that enhances charged spells and skills to increase the power of the Wave of Destruction, and then there's the Two-Handed Sword talisman, the Claw talisman, and then the Dragon Crest Shield. Spells for this build are the same 3 as with the first build, Blessing of the Erdtree, Golden Vow, and Flame Grant Me Strength. For the Mixed Physic, use the Spike Crack tier to increase the power of charged attacks and the Stone Barbed Crack tier to make stance breaking easier. Stats for this build are Vigor at 60, Mind at 50, Endurance at 60, Strength at 80, Dexterity 12, Intelligence 45, Faith 38, and Arcane at 9. Using this build in boss combat works pretty much the same as with the first build, but only this time you can take more advantage of your Spirit Ashes aggro by using the Wave of Destruction while the boss is busy fighting your Spirit Ashes. Repeated jump heavy attacks with this weapon will quickly break a boss's poise and give you a critical attack opportunity. After each critical attack, use a charged Wave of Destruction to deal free damage to any boss, but for a certainty, your main weapon is going to be the jumping heavy attack. The third and final build of the video I want to show you uses the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC Greatsword called the Ancient Meteoric Greatsword. This weapon's unique ability is called White Light Charge. Activating this skill makes you lunge towards your target with a piercing stab, and a second input activates an explosion that deals massive damage. Having a high arcane can make this skill hit even harder. Talisman for this build are the Shard of Alexander from the base game. The Shard of Alexander greatly boosts the attack power of skills. Next is the two-handed sword talisman, the claw talisman, and of course the Dragon Crest shield. For the mixed physic, again use the Opaline hard tier to boost all damage negation, and the Stone Barb crack tier to make stance breaking easier. The spells are also the same with this build as well. Blessing of the Erdtree, Golden Vow, and Flame grant me strength. Stats for this build: Vigor is going to be 70, Mind at 55, Endurance at 55, Strength at 65, Dexterity 12, Intelligence 9, Faith 38, and Arcane 50. How I use this build in boss fight combat is similar to the other two, a lot of jump heavy attacks. Just like with the Ruin's Greatsword, you get to take advantage of your Spirit Ash's aggro and use White Light Charge whenever the boss is not focused on you, otherwise it's jump heavy attacks and charged heavy attacks. After each critical attack, use a fully charged ground heavy attack to deal extra damage to bosses while they are in recovery. Alright, and that's going to be it for the builds of the video. If you have any questions or improvement to any of these builds, I'd love to read about them down in the comments. My name is Ventus SGN. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Peace out.